Let's get to the latest from Maharashtra, and it's Eknath Shinde. They're putting out a very strong message as far as his party workers are concerned, saying don't let success get to your head, and in fact treat yourself like a party worker. That's exactly what he does, and he's leading by example there, saying that do not in fact react. That is the kind of messaging that is being put out by Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. And this really is coming about that stern message as far as the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra is concerned. So he in fact has gone on to say that this is basically Eknath Shinde there reacting, in fact saying that I don't want to behave like a boss, I don't want to get angry, I want to act like a karyakarta, and that is exactly what you should really be doing, and that is the kind of messaging that he's putting out. And really he's trying to say do not react, do not in fact give a reason for people to point fingers, because he's saying that fingers are not being pointed towards him, but fingers are instead being pointed towards him. Let's go across to Anuj, my colleague, joining us in order to get us the very latest. Anuj, of course, take us through that very stern warning, but no action. All on paper, all words coming out of the Deputy Chief Minister's mouth, at a time when we're really waiting for some action.
Yesterday, an important meeting was held in Dadar ahead of the civic poll, elections here in Maharashtra. It was in Dadar. It was the first time that Eknath Shinde was going to address his troops, address his, cadre after whatever had happened in the state has happened, be it on the basis of language or Eknath Shinde's ministers or leaders getting into some sort of trouble. Now, the meeting became, it grabbed the headlines. The fact that grabbed headlines from the meeting was this stern warning that has been given by Eknath Shinde, where he minced no words but made sure that his party workers are made aware of their responsibility. Discipline was the key word, right? That's what he banked upon the most. He said that we've received a lot of success. This is Shiv Sena, Shinde faction. We've received a lot of success in the last couple of years. Remember that the split happened in 2022, and after that the party has gone through a few elections, right? And even though they lost the Lok Sabha election in 2024, but Eknath Shinde's party's performance in that particular election was better than the rest, that is the BJP and NCP, and of course they went on to get one of the best strike rates amongst all the parties during the Vidhan Sabha election as well. That is what he tried to tell them. He said that the party has received a fair amount of success, and that is why it becomes important for the leaders and ministers to make sure that they maintain the dignity of the mandate that they've received. Of course, there was no direct reference being made to either Sanjay Gaikwad, who was here in this canteen not too long ago. In fact, only last week when their entire video went viral, this is where he punched that individual, and the entire controversy began. But it was not just about Sanjay Gaikwad, it was also about Sanjay Shirsat, two ministers who have been at the very forefront of the controversies in the last few weeks, and a message to them was around the corner. Now, Eknath Shinde, there was no official telecast of the meeting that happened yesterday. There was no name calling that Eknath Shinde did. What he tried to do was to make sure that all the leaders, in presence of all the senior ministers, are made aware of the responsibility that they have, and this becomes even more crucial keeping the timeline of the electoral calendar of Maharashtra in mind, because Mumbai will be going to polls in lot less than 5 to 6 months as far as the BMC election is concerned, and that becomes a very important election for Shiv Sena to prove its worth and to get that credibility of it being the real Shiv Sena. And that is why Eknath Shinde asserted that incidents like these only hamper the chances of the party, not just across the state, but more specifically in Mumbai, where there is the home ground of Shinde.
Right, Anuj, of course, no action, but of course, that stern messaging when it comes to the MLA workers there, really at a time when we're expecting some sort of action to be taken and I set an example so that this doesn't really happen going forward. Let's get you the questions that are being asked, in fact, at this particular point in time. Why no disciplinary action has been taken against Sanjay Gaikwad, the MLA of the Shinde faction? In fact, why no FIR has in fact been also registered so far? No FIR under sections of assault. What really do remember that it was Sanjay Gaikwad there. Of course, this is at a time when there should be a sort of an example made in order to ensure that this does not happen going forward. What message is the Sena sending by not taking any sort of action? We've already heard words coming out of whether it's the Chief Minister, Devendra Fadnavis, or the Deputy Chief Minister. The Deputy Chief Minister, they're saying that, you shouldn't be behaving like a boss and you shouldn't be losing your temper. In fact, you should just be a karyakarta, just like I am. And that is what he is pointing his fingers towards. But this really is why just public reprimand. Why not suspend or expel Sanjay Gaikwad is the big question. Why was the victim not protected by the government? Do remember, it was Sanjay Gaikwad who had gone ahead and slapped that manager of the guest house of the MLAs Akashwani in Mumbai. No action has been taken so far by the government in regard to Sanjay Gaikwad. Of course, the caterer's license has been cancelled. How will Shiv Sena ensure that this is not repeated in the future? No repeat of such conduct takes place. That is really the big question that is really being asked. Does the Shinde government really endorse MLA Gaikwad's brand of justice? And is this how the justice that, Sanjay Gaikwad has really been talking about, that this is, the Sena's way of dealing with matters, of taking matters into their own hands? Those are the questions that are being asked at this particular point in time. No action has been taken against Sanjay Gaikwad.